I'm First Lieutenant Michael Germano. I'm a ground intelligence officer. I'm the S2 at Combat Logistics Battalion 5, currently deployed to MRF-D in Australia. I guess as far as what I do, really the main functions of an intelligence officer is to reduce the commander's uncertainty and to develop the situation. So we do that by employing collections assets such as the RQ-20B Puma, and then we take that information and it feeds into the commander's understanding of the battle space. CLB is the logistics combat element for the MRF-D. This week we're out here with the ADF. We're in the Northern Territory of Australia at Mount Bundey Training Area. We're with 102 Battery Artillery. We are helping them apply corrections to their artillery and providing feedback for their TTPs. We are using the RQ-20B Puma. It's a Group 1 small UAS, typically used for tactical level reconnaissance. Some of the capabilities of the system allow it to be quickly employed in an austere environment. It can support every part of the MAGTF and is easily integratable into our partner forces doctrine. We're using the RQ-20B integrated with ADF forward observers to help them apply corrections in the call for fire. The Australian officers are very friendly. We're all in the mess together a lot, and I've hung out a lot around the 812 guys, the artillery officers, and we were out at the pub one night, and my friend Craig, we're just having a beer, and I said, "Hey man, you're an artillery guy. You've got guns and observers. I've got drones and small UAS. Why don't we put this together and see if we can make something happen here?" So started kind of a bar napkin plan. Ended up being kind of a significant movement, but the Australians were very helpful, very understanding. They helped us get all of our stuff out here, and ended up being great training for my Marines. And it looks like the Australians got a lot out of it as well. They're very friendly, very professional. They're almost without exception the kind of people that are willing to give you half their MRE if they've only got one. They're super easy to work with. Their doctrine fits nicely with ours. There isn't a lot of cross-talking or interpretation that needs to go on when an op order is being briefed. So I sat in with their orders last night. I sat in their orders before the operation. It's been really easy to talk shop with them. So throughout the entire process, I guess the Australian America, it's very easy to talk to. Trying to get down the artillery sUAS piece has really been the focus. That requires more interpretation than the Australian American. It seems like it's a pretty easy partnership as far as talking doctrine and tactics. So I've worked a good deal with my counterparts over at 1st Brigade as well. Their intel section, their intelligence cycle, their intelligence process, almost exact to ours. So it's been a good opportunity for me to get my Marines into analysis training as well. Get them with some of their Australian counterparts to talk about the specific tradecraft of intelligence professionals, and as well out here on the gun line. The call for fire process, almost word for word, is the same as ours. So I was noticing last night around orders, they were, the operations officer was basically briefing a MAGTF level plan with maneuver elements, sort of an execution checklist. There wasn't a single time in the op order where I had to go, wait, what was that? Did he say an Australian thing or an American thing? It's almost exactly as an American would have read it, except for the accent. I mean, the call for fire process, it's really about communicating what an observer is seeing to the firing agency, down to the gun line, down to the artillery. So It's really sort of a fusing of perspectives between the observer and the shooter, making sure they're on the same page. So it starts out with identification, with the observer identifying his or herself to the firing agency, and then it moves on into identifying how the observer will communicate the target, be it with a grid or with a bearing and a distance, and then it moves into target description, and then afterwards the battery communicates what it will be giving the observer as far as rounds, round allocation, weaponeering solution, and then after the call for fire is completed, really what the small UAS can help with is the adjust fire process, and we don't employing the maneuver concept. We don't do any fires unobserved, right? So there's always got to be someone observing our effects to make sure that the effects set conditions for follow-on actions. So the adjust fire, it determines the difference between where the round was intended to impact and where it actually impacted. And so an observer determines that amount based on the observer's location and the relative location of the impacts to the observer. So the observer can employ sUAS to assist in getting an accurate reading. It can pull a 10-digit grid from the Puma, or it can take a broader look. For instance, a round impacted over a hill earlier, and the Australian observer couldn't see it because the crest of the hill interrupted his line of sight. Since we had the sUAS was able to look behind the hill and determine where behind the hill the round had impacted. It's myself and then two of my Marines. We're out here embedded with an ADF Joint Fires Team, a JFT. So while the JFT is in hide, and we're also in hide behind deflate, behind a piece of terrain or behind some vegetation, we essentially just set up our ground control station from a few Pelican cases, which allows us to communicate via RF to the bird. We set up some more Pelican cases to construct the bird. It's just a small fuselage which we attach wings to. It's not a very large footprint at all. It can easily fit in the back of most transportation vehicles. And then we offset a little bit from the hide so as to not burn their hide or let a potential adversary know where we're observing from. And then take a good running start and let the bird loose. Just send it. And then while the bird's in the air, we typically try to get around a kilometer to the right or left of the gun target line, which is just straight up distance from the artillery to the target it's firing on. So we'll stay a kilometer to the left or right. We'll be at around between 1,000 and 2,000 feet MSL, and then from there we can pull grids from the bird and help the Australian observers look at their target. We can help them identify their target and provide battle damage assessment after a mission as well. So realistically, probably take us 15 to 20 minutes to get from stepping off of a truck to throwing the bird into the air. Obviously, once it's in the air, it does its thing, ISR, and then after it completes its mission, essentially what we do to bring the bird down is do some circles to try to kill some of the speed which the bird has in the air. Gradually circles down into a location that's mostly clear of trees, and then the bird sort of does a button hook mid-air, brings itself down and does a controlled crash. So it has some padding underneath the fuselage. People always get excited when they see the bird crash because they think we just broke a $300,000 piece of equipment, but It's built to crash. It's designed to fall onto its bottom, its dorsal, and then from there the bird sort of falls apart naturally so as to avoid breaking any of the pieces. So we can tell if it's a nice landing if it smacks against the ground gracefully, of course. The wings pop right off and the propellers aren't damaged. So we've had a lot of successful landings out here. We had a landing at night which was almost perfect. So I'm proud of my Marines. They've gotten some great training out here. They've improved their proficiency drastically, and they've gotten to work with some true professionals as well.